LENZCAST. This is episode 3 of season 1, and today I have another guest. This is a teacher. I think you teach high school, right?
Yep, I teach high school at a private Christian school in Minnesota.
Awesome. So, I have a few questions for you today about teaching during the times of COVID-19.
Okay.
So, we'll start off with, how is this different from teaching? Obviously, you're doing it through the internet, but how is this different from regular teaching? Like, is there really any differences other than it's on the internet?
Yes, there are a lot. The main difference is, and I was talking about this with one or two of the other teachers, that when I am teaching a lesson in class, I can look around at, my 25 students or, however many are in that class, and I can kind of tell if they're getting it or if they're not. And so I can adjust and I can go back and I can reteach something. If there's something that is taking a little bit longer for them to get, I can kind of slow down. I can take 2 days for that lesson, right? I can check in with the kids who aren't getting it, or if they're really getting it, like we can kind of jump through it because they're like, hey, we've got it, we're good, and we can move on to something else, right?
Yeah.
You can't do that when you're teaching online. So I'm videoing all of my lessons and then figuring out who needs that little bit of extra help or who doesn't is a lot trickier when they're all doing it from, for this one class, 25 different locations. And so I'm getting different emails, or they're showing up to the Google Meets and asking questions. It just is a lot trickier to know for sure, am I moving too fast, am I moving too slow, because you don't have that feedback from students.
Yeah. So, and then how do you prefer to teach online? Is it a kind of, are you more like hands-on? Obviously that's probably hard with the different times. Some people may not have some different materials. I don't know. How do you prefer to teach?
So I'm recording my lessons. The students were able to come to school and pick up all of their textbooks or novels, whatever it is that we were using for that class. And then I am recording all of my lessons, and so just making sure that everything is even more clear and articulate than usual to make sure that I don't miss any steps or anything like that. That's something that's really important. So, you're assigning a passage of reading, but then, what if someone wasn't able to go get their textbook? Well, then I'm taking pictures of the reading assignment and posting those along with the video lesson and the homework. And anyway, so I've been trying to kind of plan this in kind of 2-week mini units. And so the first week, I might introduce a project based on whatever it is that we are learning about, and then have 2 or 3 lessons, like smaller lessons. And then the next week, kind of shorten it to 1 or 2 lessons. And then they have extra time to work on that project, which is more of an application of what they're learning than just I read and I answer a bunch of questions. The good thing that I really like is I'm using Kahoot, which is an online game-based educational tool. And so I'm using that for vocabulary quizzes and grammar quizzes. And that I really like because it actually lets me see, who's putting the time in, because I let them basically pick their score. They can take this quiz as many times as they want to get, as high a score as they want to. So a lot of kids with extra needs like dyslexia or ADD or, something like that, they are reading at a lower, reading level or something like that. They're actually loving it because they can take it 6 times to get 100%. So pretty amazing.
And also, obviously, there's a lot of motivation that's needed in these times. So, what motivates you as a teacher?
Well, what motivates me as a teacher is wanting to make sure that my students have the best education that they possibly can. I think that if they have the right education and they have the right mindset and kind of heart attitude, I think that they can change the world. And so my desire as a teacher is the same as it always has been, to equip them to have a really strong base of education and to be able to use that, right, and a foundation. Like I said, I teach at a Christian school, so a foundation in God as well. And so to go and change the world. And so wherever I'm teaching from, whatever the circumstances, that doesn't really change. So what is the highest quality content that I can give them? How can I help them through this time where there's a lot of anxiety and uncertainty? in order to make the best of the situation and still do some really amazing things.
Yeah. So, how about your students? Are they liking this better, or are they preferring the actual physical classroom? How about that?
So there's a few that really like it. And they are able to kind of go at their own pace.
Mm-hmm.
And those are typically the students that they will sit down, and when they get their assignments on Monday and Tuesday, they just kind of knock them out of the park, and or they'll share them with me and ask for feedback and then submit them with any revisions that I would recommend. And so those kids really like it. Overall, the majority of them are really missing the community, where even if it was like, hey, the first week this is kind of cool and fun, they miss being in school. They miss talking to me, and I have some students who show up like early morning before school starts, and they hang out in my classroom until the bell rings. They miss talking to me and each other in there. They miss hanging out with their friends at lunch and actually getting to kind of talk and laugh in school. And so the isolation, I think, is the hardest thing. But that's the number one thing that we promote at our school, is a really strong community. And so they're missing what it is that we've been able to provide.
Oh, yeah. And then, one last question here. How about, like, your favorite thing about this, and then your least favorite thing?
Oh, my favorite thing. I'm wearing leggings every single day, and it's amazing. So um, I have daytime leggings and evening leggings. So I still try to look nice from basically the waist up, but there's that. And then just the flexibility of kind of being able to plan my schedule. I think this is a really good time to kind of scale back and decide, what is important to me in life right now. And so, like, how can I be healthy in all of these different areas? So yeah, being comfortable. But this week I have about 2 miles to go today, and I'm walking the length of a marathon. And so if I walk about 2 miles, then I will meet that, and I'll probably walk a little bit longer and exceed that. So that's really cool, because just the flexibility of when you leave work, you leave work. And so there's the hard part of this is probably my least favorite thing. I feel like I have to be constantly available, because kids might be working on their lesson for the first time at 7 o'clock at night. And so if they're emailing me questions, I feel bad leaving them till the next day. So I had to really learn boundaries. But being able to be like, hey, I just did, 3 hours of office hours, and I ate lunch, and now I took a walk, like a 3 mile walk, and I came back, and I'm ready to do another like 4 or 5 hours of prepping lessons, sending emails, checking in with kids, and all of that. So the flexibility. But
yeah, that's awesome.
My least favorite part is feeling like I have to constantly be there. There's no break.
Yeah, that's the thing about school physically, is that you can be there when it's time, you're there, and then over online, then you kind of there's no boundaries. You're just kind of all spread out, and it's kind of a mess sometimes. But
yeah,
technology has advanced super well, so we can do this, and so have teachers. So everybody, could you all smash a like for all the teachers down there, because they're all putting a ton of hard work in, and they're grinding it out every single day. And also subscribe, and I will see you next week on LENZCAST.